Hi, and welcome to the On the Move podcast. I'm your host, Eric, and this is the second episode. Last week was very uplifting, and I'm grateful that I actually executed on my idea to start a podcast. So that's nice. But it's the weekend again, and let's start off the weekend with a big breath. Here we go. Nice. Today I want to talk about expectations and beliefs, and I'm sitting by this church where a lot of people connect this place to beliefs. So I guess why not be here today? Last week and this week has been kind of a whirlwind for me. Not mentally, but a bit emotionally, I guess. My dad is in the hospital again. Which sucks. Last week I thought I broke our car in a way that would cost us a lot of money. And I also crashed my new drone, which cost me a lot of money. So, but I'm very proud of myself that I have been able to not live as if I'm on a roller coaster where I have very high highs and very low lows, that I've been very stable in a positive sense, which just feels amazing. So, I mean, the drone, it's just plastic. The car is just a car. My dad is not just my dad. He's a great dad. But I'm sure he'll be fine soon. But yeah, expectations and beliefs. Let's talk about our brain, the human brain. We have a built-in survival tool that's made in a way that we always seek, not always, but very often seek for confirmation on our thoughts and beliefs. And what I mean by this is, let's think about when humans were living out in the wild. For example, we were walking in the desert, starving, and all of a sudden we see something that almost resembles a tree or a pool of water, and as a survival instinct we need to find things or thoughts that proves to us that we are right, because we want that pool of water, for example. And that means that we have to see every little detail about this thing that we think is a pool of water or a tree with fruit or whatever as proof that we are on the right path to survival. And it's something that we use today as well, and we don't really think much about it, but it's still in us. Whenever we learn something or we see something that might be aligned with what we think we want, we will start trying to confirm that that is true, whether it's true or not. But we will just, think in a way that makes us think we are correct, because it leads to our survival. And I want to give an example of this. It could be a relationship, for example. If you have the information that, let's say that person on the savannah, by the way, in the desert, they have the information that water is good for them, then that is what they will search for. But if you have been in a bad relationship, for example, then you will have proof that a relationship is not good. It's hostile. And when you go into a new relationship and the evidence that you have is that a relationship is bad for you and there are huge risks to be taken, then it's going to be harder for you to go into that relationship, of course, because you are searching for something that you know could be of use for you based on evidence in the past. And this could be bad habits in your partner that you simply don't like. And that doesn't mean that they're bad, it just means that you have evidence and you're searching to find proof for that evidence, to confirm that you are right, to confirm that you are on the path to something that's good for you, for your survival, really. And it's completely natural. It's nothing wrong with that. It's just that usually in modern society we don't need to feel danger for our lives in the same way that we used to. Sorry, I had to pause my recording for a few minutes now. There was an old man coming here taking care of one of the graves. We had a nice conversation about expectations and beliefs. That was nice. But another example could be, let's say, salespeople or rich people, that they're scammers, because there are indeed rich people that scam other people of money, and you might be a victim of that. So you draw the conclusion that rich people are scammers, but of course there are poor people that scam people as well. And this goes for everything. So usually we have our evidence, we learn things, we gather information through life, and we make conclusions out of that. What else are we going to do? We have to believe in something. We have to expect something for our growth. So, but just be mindful that not everything is just one way. There are always multiple sides to stories and happenings. And it's usually different because we have different perspectives. We are different people with different, what's the word? Experiences. And I gotta say, I've had an expectation for a long time, since I was young, that I'm still young, maybe to some of you, but my worst expectation, it's not a good one, it was that life has to be a certain way for me to feel a certain way. Like if I have a vision, it must become that. If not, then it's not good. And that came from a very dark place. And having an expectation like that is just a twisted sense of reality. It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't actually benefit me in modern society, although my 10,000-year-old brain, or whatever, how old it is, it might think so. It might think that this tool is there to protect me in a way, or help me in a way. I don't know. Something that is very much worth mentioning when it comes to expectations and beliefs that really affects how we act. And that is called the Pygmalion effect. And the Pygmalion effect has to do with how we expect things and how that in turn creates a certain result. There have been a lot of studies in that we can relate to in modern society, which will give us clarity in how we can apply this in our own lives. And there have been a lot of studies have been done on this, on animals, teachers and students, workers and leaders. But one example is of rats. There were a lot of rats selected randomly, and they created two teams of these rats and handed them to students. And the rats were labeled, one team was labeled smart rats, and the other team was labeled as dumb rats. So the smart rats were told, the students were told that the smart rats has been specifically trained to learn patterns and to make quicker decisions and think of consequences and solve puzzles. And the dumb rats, they were not trained at all. They were just selected at random. That was what the students were told. And they were going to have a race day between these two teams where the rats were supposed to get out of a maze and solve this puzzle. And because of the expectations on the smart rats, they won. And you might think, it was just random. Well, maybe, but the funny thing is there are so many examples of this. The rats were given a certain energy and the students were thinking in a way that made them act a certain way, that made them train the rats a certain way. And it was so much easier for the smart rats to solve the puzzle. Another example of this would be the study that they made on students in a classroom. And they told teachers that this group of students had a very high IQ and they were really smart and they had a different upbringing that gave them the possibilities to learn quicker. And surprise, surprise, the teachers acted as if that was true. And that made them, with the right expectations, give off a certain energy, a certain type of act that made the students learn better and get much better results. And that's not strange at all, because we are all energy, and when we have a certain state of energy, we think a certain way and we act a certain way because of that. And you know that that is true because you have probably been in the case where you might be in the grocery store or just in a public place or whatever, and you just feel that another person is coming closer to you. Even if you're not hearing that person or you're not seeing that person, you just feel that someone is coming up behind you and you gotta look, or you know somehow that they are coming, and someone will pass you or whatever. And that's because of energy. We all give off a certain type of energy, whether we like it or not, but whatever that energy is will give us a certain result that's matching the energy. So make sure that you have the right energy and the right expectations on yourself, and results will follow. So if you expect yourself to be successful in an area, then act like that. Act like you have that energy and it will come. That's just the truth. I don't know what else to say. I think this has a lot to do with our focus, like what do we focus on and what we give our energy to, really. One funny example, I know a lot of people have experienced this as well, but me and my fiance, we bought a new car a few years back. It was a Kia Sportage, and I can swear that I have never ever before seen as many Kia Sportages or Kias in general as I have after we bought the car, because my focus, my energy was on Kia, especially Kia Sportage. And after that, I just see Kia Sportages everywhere. So the brand Kia and the model Sportage, it's saved in my subconscious, and with my focus, with my energy and my expectations, with the information I have, I would just see more of the same type of car. It's no strange thing either. It's just the way it is, but it's funny how it works. So with that being said, I want you to understand that you can create your own evidence. You can create your own expectations and your own beliefs. Like if you say you wake up and you're telling yourself that you're gonna have a good day, and you repeat examples in your head of what a good day would be like, and you are much more likely to act upon that and create a good day. So be mindful of that. So be mindful of that in whenever next thing you do whenever you get a new job or a new car or a new relationship, a new career. If you go into a new relationship and you have evidence of bad happenings, bad relationships, and if you think that a man or a woman is a certain type of way, make sure you get new evidence. Don't base your decisions and your thought on all the bad evidence. Make sure you focus on the good evidence and find that, and it will help you so much in searching for that next great relationship that you want. Because the bad evidence, obviously they're there to help you not go there, but if that's all you can think about, that's all you're going to search for. So make up your mind and find the good also. It's obviously easier said than done, but just try to be mindful of that. And with that being said, you can't just have your expectations and then let it go. I mean, you gotta act on your expectations as well. You can't just scream in the mirror that you love yourself and then be good with it. It might help a little bit, I don't know. But you gotta act as if you love yourself. If that's what you want to have more of in your life. But then you might be thinking, how should I act? Like, if my goal is to be a successful person, or to love myself, or start a business, or be healthy, or have a great relationship, just think about how, let's say the goal is to be successful, how does a successful person act? How does a successful person behave from my point of view? And expect yourself to do those things and do those things that you come up with. And the easiest way to do that is to create habits. You start with a small habit, like if you want to be healthy, start eating more vegetables. Have that as a habit, that every evening when you eat dinner, you have vegetables ready in your fridge that you can just put on your plate. Easy. And then the next step would be to get a gym membership. And then when you're on your way to work, you can stop by the gym and run on the treadmill for 30 minutes or whatever. Just create small habits that's aligned with how you see yourself in the goal that you want to have. And more habits will follow. James Clear talks a lot about this in his book Atomic Habits. And one quote that stuck with me was, "We don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems." And what that means is that if you want to be a healthy person, but you don't have a gym membership, you don't have a workout plan, you don't have a meal plan, you don't have your gym clothes ready in the morning when you want to go to the gym, your gym bag packed or whatever, it's going to be a lot harder for you to be that type of person if that's what you want. And the reason for that is there's going to be a lot of friction for you between yourself and that goal. You have to create a system, because you only fall to your system. And if the system is that your gym bag is already made, there are good food in your fridge that you can use, healthy foods, and you already have a gym membership with a plan of what you're going to do at the gym a certain day, then that's a system, and it's going to be so much easier. And obviously it might feel overwhelming to create a big system the first thing you do, but that's why I said start with small habits, and more answers will come to you about what to do next. So think of what you want, expect those things, and act as if you expect those things to be in your life. And it will be a lot easier. And then you can create the habits that will take you to that place of wherever you want to go. All right, I think I've said enough for today. This was a nice chat. I feel a bit under the weather today, so it was a bit rough to come up with words, but I think I got the message across decently. And if you've been listening, I'm very grateful for you, and I'm very happy for you. You're doing great. Whether you believe that or not, I don't care. You are doing great. And just like we did last episode, this is the On the Move podcast, so we gotta listen to music that keeps you moving, or that you like to move to. And we got a few comments on last week's episode, which I'm so happy about. Thank you so much for that. And we got one comment of a song for this week's episode, and that was from my own brother. So thank you, bro. I appreciate you. I love you. And the song for this week's episode is Shine by Spectrum. And it goes like this. This is such a nice weekend song. Love this. Just like he said there, if you believe, it's true. So believe your expectations because they are true. Trust me. Nice. Thank you so much for watching or listening to the On the Move podcast. I'm your host Eric, and I'll talk to you next weekend. Ciao. Oh, I forgot to say, if you have a submission for next week's episode when it comes to a song that you like moving your body to, please leave a comment and tell me what song I should play in the end of next episode. Thank you very much, and goodbye.